What is going on? I am Matt O'Leary back with another live stream. Today, I would like to welcome on a very special guest, Rashad from the Panthers Nation podcast. What's going on, my man? How are you?
Yeah, what's going on? Shout out to the Jets. But I mean, before we even get into this, man, first, we gotta set something straight. We gotta get
Okay.
set something straight here. I feel like Matt, you owe us an apology, man.
Why is that? What did I
You
do?
and entire Jets nation owe the Carolina Panthers an apology for fleecing us with Sam Darnold. I need that apology, sir. I need
I'm
that.
sorry. Well, the last time we spoke was right before that week 1 game in 2021. I tried to warn you. I said this was not going to end well. Unfortunately, the Sam Darnold era did not go very well in Carolina. So, yeah, look, not ideal. That was tough, but I feel like you got to be pretty happy with the direction you're going now, though. It's a couple years later, but
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you guys took advantage of a college guy who didn't know what he was doing, likes these reclamation projects. Shuffle through a couple of them. So it is what it is, but it is funny. I'm glad the Sam Darnold era came and gone, and now we're on track. We've got the legend Bryce Young in the building, so we're good to go now.
yeah, let's start there. I mean, Bryce Young's such a huge storyline. He's the first pick there. Were you like, was that who you wanted? Were you a Stroud guy at all, or were you Bryce Young all the way and happy with that selection?
Yeah, in the beginning of the process, I followed the draft pretty heavily. I think I got a lot of Jets fans that follow me. I don't know if it was because of Sam Darnold trade, but I do a lot of draft talk, and I gotta admit, I was a CJ Stroud guy for the longest. And I was one of those guys. Man, he's too small. Bryce is too little. He can't. Blah 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 blah. Cut on the film. I would say around pro day, I started to switch. When I saw his pro day, I was like, all right, let me really dive into the tape, see what Bryce Young is all about and all the things that he's great. I mean, Bryce is good. You can see it. We saw it yesterday at practice. He's efficient. Just because he's short doesn't mean he can't see across the middle of the field. All the things that you would think he can't do, he can do well. So I started out a CJ Stroud guy and quickly became a Bryce Young guy as soon as I turned on the film.
Yeah, there you go. I'm going to be honest with you. I was more of a CJ Stroud guy with him coming out. I don't think Bryce Young is, going to be bad. I think there's a lot there to really like about his game. And, he was someone, at least, with these joint practices this week, I thought, he stood out in a positive way yesterday at the joint practice. He's going to get to play in this game Saturday. Unfortunately, the two teams don't get to go up against each other today. I was looking forward to, more storylines from these practices, but you were actually there yesterday. So I want to get your perspective on one, how you thought he looked against what, should be a very tough Jets defense this year, and just, anything else you could share from joint practice yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. Joint practice was great yesterday. Really physical practice. It's really interesting for me, and I talk about this on my show to see how the teams operate differently. Like just little small nuances. Like the Jets, you guys didn't stretch first. You went through your walkthroughs first and then stretched. Just little stuff like that. Like we stretch first. Just little nuances, just cool things to kind of see how different teams operate. I thought that the Jets came out really physical, and I'm sitting here reading this ESPN article about how you guys are frustrated. Aaron Rodgers is frustrated with how things went yesterday, but I saw a little bit of the opposite when it comes to the physicality. Right, I felt like, especially because and just to set a little, just to kind of set expectations here, I saw the Jets defense because of the vantage point, the Jets defense and Panthers offense a lot. They were on the closest field to us. We have another field that's on the far field. That's where the Jets offense and the Panthers defense was. I didn't really get a chance to see that much, so I can't really provide any insight on how that went. But in watching the Jets defense and the Panthers offense, they came with some. You guys were really intense. Like you could see when before we got to 11 on 11s, they were jumping around, high fiving, and the Panthers just like, all right, we kind of here. And I think we got punched in the mouth like up front. So it was really cool. I counted about 6 little skirmishes, little dust ups that happened fight wise. It wasn't nothing major. I think the biggest one was Jermaine Johnson and Hayden Hurst. They went after it after a run play. I think Jermaine Johnson was a little aggressive. I think they kind of started pushing back and forth, and then I would say that Hayden Hurst finished that little argument afterwards on the next play. So really good physical play between the two. I felt like the Jets defense, even without Sauce, even without Carl Lawson, I thought you guys did well. Bryce, a little shaky in a couple 11 on 11 reps. I think your defensive line was really good. Our offensive line is man, it's a little shaky. Our offensive line, we're missing Austin Corbett, who is our starting right guard. He is out due to he tore his ACL last year and still kind of rehabbing that. So we have Cade Mays in right now, and you guys took advantage of that. I felt like it was a little shaky. Bryce was running around. Bryce has excellent pocket presence, running around, maneuvering the pocket, find those lanes, and then throwing downfield. He made a couple of great throws down the middle of the field deep. One to Mingo, who we just drafted. DJ Chark had a great camp as well, a great day yesterday. So overall, I would say it was a good chess match between the two. I wouldn't say that we were better than the Jets defense, or we took advantage of the Jets defense. And I wouldn't say the Jets absolutely destroyed us either. I think it was just a really good, solid matchup. And for me, that's what I wanted to see, because we're a new team. We have a new coaching staff. We have a new quarterback, and I wanted to see where we're going to be able to hang with a veteran defense. You guys been around the block, really good defense, and that's what I wanted to see. And for my biggest takeaway was that, yeah, we can hang. And our defense obviously is pretty solid, and Aaron Rodgers can attest to that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, I was curious on a couple things. Number one, I wasn't there, but just from following along on Twitter and social media, it seemed like the Jets defensive line, specifically Quinnen Williams, had a really good day. I would anticipate the interior of that Panthers offensive line being a little bit, like you said, missing a starter and being a little banged up, probably had a role in that. And then Bryce Young's pick six. I saw a couple of conflicting reports. So I want to clear. Was it more on the receiver, or was it a bad throw that Brandon Echols got in?
I don't think it was a bad throw. I think it was an excellent play by Echols, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I think that the ball was thrown accurately. I would say that Chark kind of had his hands on it, and Echols just came in, broke it up, did a little tip drill, tipped it to himself, and it was an excellent play. I mean, I can't take anything from Echols. That was a fantastic play by him. So I wouldn't say it was a bad throw at all. I think he put it spot on. I would say that Chark needs to have stronger hands to bring that in. Personally, that's my opinion on the play.
Okay, and then is that a fair assessment on the Jets defensive line having a strong day yesterday?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Again, I would say that our offensive line was tested yesterday, and there were a couple of pseudo sacks. Obviously, you can't put your hands on the quarterback, but I counted a couple of sacks that would have been had this been a live game. So yeah, I would say that the defensive line, Jets defensive line, very solid, especially the interior of that defensive line. I think on the edges, I think we kind of held our own, but obviously, like I said, with Cade Mays and then replacing Austin Corbett, we had a little bit of an issue there. So, but yeah, again, even with that, I think it was a good back and forth. Bryce was able to get off some plays. He was able to throw the football deep. We were able to run the football, and there were some plays that got stuffed as well. Good, even, solid matchup, in my opinion.
There you go. And yeah, I mean, you mentioned this was on the other side, but from following along at camp with the Panthers defense and the Jets offense, it seemed like Brian Burns was kind of wrecking the day a little bit for the Jets.
He's a problem.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. He is a problem. I think, what was it, 12 and a half sacks from him last year? He had a monster season. And right now the Jets there's major question marks with their tackle spots. Dwayne Brown is a veteran who's coming back from injury, so he's not back yet. And Mekhi Becton, who the Jets took in the first round in 2020, has missed the last 2 years due to injury, so he's working back slowly and not with the ones right now. So you have Billy Turner, who's a veteran who's kind of bounced around the league a little bit, starting at left tackle, and Max Mitchell, who was I think a 4th round pick last year, mid-round pick from last year's draft at right tackle. So I wasn't really crazy surprised to see that Brian Burns had a dominant day against these tackles. When you just look at, what this guy does on the field week in and week out, he's a special player.
Yeah. And just to second Brian Burns, and I think even with the 12 and a half sacks, that's with Brian Burns playing out of position. We transitioned to a 3-4 defense this year, so he's actually getting a chance to play on the edge as a true outside linebacker. A pass rush specialist, can drop in coverage as well. he is going to have a monster season this year. He bulked up. He's quicker. He's bigger. He's faster. He's stronger. Everything, and he's about to get monsterly paid. It's a contract year for him. He did not pull a Bosa, and he didn't hold out. He felt like he needed to show up to camp. But yeah, he had a really good day yesterday. Would have had a couple of sacks had it been live. Also, Derek Brown, from what I've been told, this is all the stuff on the defense is secondhand knowledge, because I want to make sure that's clear, because I wasn't watching it. But I also heard Derek Brown had a really good day as well. He's kind of our Quentin Williams. I mean, he's really good. Coming from Auburn a couple years back, he's kind of turning into a pass rush interior defensive lineman. And we, like I said, we switched to that 3-4 defense between Rashad Tuttle, Derek Brown, and man, I'm drawing a blank. Rashad Tuttle, Derek Brown, and oh my goodness,
That's all right.
no, I'm tripping, man. Tuttle, Derek Brown, and man, I am drawing a blank. This is crazy. Here we go. Hold on.
Yeah, pull it up. Pull up their depth chart right now.
Oh, and McCall, my bad.
Okay.
Marquand McCall, my fault. So between those three guys, Marquand McCall going in at nose tackle, 350-pound beast. Derek Brown, we already know who he is. We picked up Rashad Tuttle from the Saints last year. Really good player. So that front three is going to be a problem.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I think the Panthers defense is going to be much improved this year. There's a lot of guys that I'm interested in seeing. Some of them you just rattled off there. As for this game coming up on Saturday, any idea on or prediction how long these starters are going to go? I know Bryce Young's going to get his first action, and what would you expect there?
Yeah, my guess would probably be maybe 1 or 2 series. I think if the first series is successful, I think they'll shut him down. If he go out there and make a couple throws, maybe lead us to a field goal, I think they'll call that a success and kind of shut him down. I personally would like to see him, 2 series, just to give him a little bit more of a feel to the game. Again, this is his first live action in Bank of America Stadium in front of the home crowd. So I would, he may be a little, his nerves may be a little up there. So we'll see. But I would like to see him for 2 series. I don't know what they're going to do. I know he's going to play. I just don't know officially what they're going to do. I know Miles Sanders is not going to play. And I think we're going to be, I think it's going to be interesting to watch for sure. I don't know how many of our defenders are going to play. Like I expect them to maybe Burns probably won't play. I think Frankie Luvu, and I appreciate you guys for Frankie Luvu, by the way. We'll call it even with Darnold. But yeah, Frankie Luvu is an absolute monster, man. I don't know how you guys let him slide away, but I think he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna play. I think he's a little banged up. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I had Luvu to get into because he's a former Jet, but since you brought him up, I mean, he really seemed to blossom and have a nice little career there in Carolina over the last couple of years. 7 sacks last year. He was kind of just, a rotational guy here. How is his, I guess, role expanded, and what kind of players he turned into in Carolina?
Yeah, Frankie Luvu, man, he is a do-it-all guy, man. So when he first got here, he was playing behind Hassan Reddick. So we had Hassan Reddick, and he wasn't playing that much. Hassan Reddick, I think, missed a game. Frankie Luvu comes in, and we didn't miss a beat. And we're like, oh man, this guy's pretty solid. Like, hey, man, we need to see more of him. And what he brings to the table, the energy, man, he's out there like screaming. You can hear him, doing his Samoan chants and all that stuff from the Polynesian culture. You can hear him out there, like it's crazy, like he's going nuts out there. So he brings a lot of energy to the table. And now he last year he got put into a starting role, right? He got put into a starting role and had 7.5 sacks. Like he's a really, really good player, brings a lot of good energy. He's really good in coverage, right? And he also can rush the passer at a very good rate. So like he provides us that position flexibility in the defense. You can put him in the interior on the 3-4, or you can put him on the edge, and he's a do-it-all guy. So I love Frankie Luvu. I think he is about to enter into a massive contract after this season. This is a contract year for him, so he's going to get paid for sure.
Love that. Good for Frankie. Love to see, someone who didn't have much of a role with the team, but yeah, hey, sometimes you miss on these guys and they go somewhere else and find some success. How about some like positional battles? Is there any area where you're looking for either, there's a battle for, a starting spot or a depth player that you're really looking forward to seeing this week?
Yeah, what I really wanted to see yesterday was I wanted to see our receivers. I wanted to see them tested, right? I know we have JC and we have Dante Jackson and CJ Henderson and all that stuff. That's cool. I want to see them go up against an elite cornerback in Sauce. And I know Sauce did not practice yesterday, but that's what I was looking for, because in practice, DJ Chark has been he's been really good. And so I wanted to see him be tested by another cornerback in the league. Did not get a chance to see it. He still had a decent practice yesterday. But the whole thing with the Panthers and their wide receiving core, their whole mantra is that we don't need a number one. They have this, hey, we're gonna go out there and it's gonna be gonna wide receiver by committee. And I've seen that because every practice is somebody else winning, right? Yesterday it was Mingo, Jonathan Mingo, who we just drafted. Prior to that, the day before that, it was Terrace Marshall, who we got drafted from LSU 2 years ago in the second round, or 3 years ago. And then DJ Chark has had a lot of moments. Thielen still got it, man. So I'm really interested to see how this wide receiving core meshes. Even Shenault, man. Shenault when camp opened, I thought I was looking at Deebo Samuels out there like that. He was taking snaps out the backfield. He was being used in a bunch of different things that we have not seen around here. And so I was excited to see that. So I'm interested to see how this wide receiving core shakes out. The last spot is going to probably be between Shi Smith and Derek Wright. Derek Wright is having a really good, to undrafted guy, having a really good camp. Shi Smith, we drafted in like the 5th or 6th round 3 or 4 years ago. He may be on the bubble, not drafted by this regime. So that one's an interesting to watch. Interesting position battle to watch. Outside of that, cornerback's interesting as well. We've got some guys on the back end. Rashad Wright, undrafted free agent, who was on Last Chance U. He's been battling some injuries throughout this entire camp, so I think he may be on the bubble. Keith Taylor, some of these guys struggled last year, but with the new coaching staff, with the new defensive coordinator, new scheme, I'm hoping that these guys get a boost. They've all had good camps. So, I'm interested to see the squad in general. This is all new for everybody. The whole coaching staff is new. So I just want to see how everything shakes out from a scheme standpoint.
Yeah, and you mentioned the wide receivers. I was just looking at the unofficial depth chart they put out, and that you don't always have to put a ton of stock into those. It changes very quickly. But something that I was slightly surprised with, and you tell me if you feel otherwise just from what you've seen, I was a little surprised that Mingo was listed ahead of Terrace Marshall. Is that a surprise for you, or is he that good right away that he deserves that starting role?
I'm gonna be honest with you. This perturbed a lot of Panther fans. Like, this really, everybody had the same questions, and I got to be honest with you. Over the past, I say like the first week of camp, Marshall was looking real pedestrian, and we wanted him to take that jump, that next level jump, like he did at the end of last year with the new coaching staff, with Steve Wilkes at the helm. He took a little bit of a jump, so we were looking to see him build off of that. And so when we brought in Thielen and we brought in Chark and we brought in Mingo, it's like, all right, this guy gets lost in the shuffle. I think the past couple practices, he started to improve on that. But if that's kind of how I had it ranked as well. Like, I had Mingo up. Mingo is playing really well. When he gets his opportunities, he looks solid out there. And I think he's going to be a problem in the league in the next 2 or 3 years. But when I saw that we had all these guys and we brought these new guys in, it spelled trouble for Marshall. So I think the slide down the depth chart it kind of comes with the territory for him.
Gotcha. Now, from the Jets' perspective, there's really not a whole lot of starting roles that are up for grabs right now. A lot of these things are kind of figured out, and I wouldn't necessarily expect to see a ton of the starters. Like, Rodgers isn't going to play in this game, so you'll probably get a half of Zach Wilson and then the second half of Tim Boyle. But something that I'm really looking forward to seeing in this game is two things, and both on the offensive line. One, Joe Tippmann, who the Jets used a second round pick on in this past year's draft. He started low on the depth chart. He was technically originally the third string behind Connor McGovern as a starter and Wes Schweitzer, who is listed as the backup. They've since moved Schweitzer over to guard, and now it's kind of between Tippmann and McGovern. But I thought he looked really good in the game against Cleveland, so I'm excited to see him get a ton of reps again. And then Mekhi Becton, who's someone we talked about a little bit earlier. He's working his way back from injury. He only played 7 snaps in the Cleveland game, so I'm kind of for me looking forward to see how much of a step forward could he take in the snap count and how they look against what could be a very good Carolina Panthers defensive line.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to watch, man. That they're definitely going to be tested. Even our depth guys, are pretty solid. We just got Justin Houston, so I don't expect to
Yeah.
see him play at all. But guys like Mari Barno, who also had a couple of good reps of practice, drafted him last year or 2 years ago, I believe. If Yetur Gross-Matos, who we've been still waiting to take that next jump, he's gonna be someone to watch, kind of stake his claim. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a fun battle, man. I like the fact that we did the joint practice with the Jets. I think it was a good litmus test for the Panthers. Again, with us being everything being brand new around here, and having the joint practices, I thought I came away with a good feeling about the Panthers. And I know it was one practice, but I feel good about where we are. And I am a little disappointed that we didn't get a chance to see you guys on the second day. Although Frank Reich did say it was going to be a lighter practice and was going to be no pads, it still would have been good to kind of see where things would have lined up. But I think it'll be still good game to watch. I think my eyes are going to be glued on it. I'll be live streaming it. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, there we go. And wanted to go to the chat. So if anyone in here is listening and wants their questions answered, pop them in the chat. We got one from K Yeti first up. Wants to know from you, do you think Carolina could pull off a W in a real game? I don't really follow either team. Just curious. So we'll put you on the spot. What do you think the Carolina Panthers' chances would be against the Jets in a regular season game?
Tough. I think it'd be a tough matchup. Depends on where the game is and when it's occurring. If it was like a week one game, I think we could pull it out. If it got later in the season where everybody's starting to get comfortable, maybe not. But yeah, I think we could. I think we're going to be a team that surprises a lot of teams out there. Our defense is going to be special, just because an Evero man or Evero, excuse me, from Denver, man, he's doing some really good things. His defense, even last year with the Broncos, was top 10 defense. And I firmly believe that we have more talent here than he had to work with over there. So I think it's going to be a really, really good defense, and I think that Bryce is going to do enough to Steph Curry his way through that offense and distribute. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, man. I'm excited. But I do think we could pull it out to answer the question directly.
Yeah, I look the Panthers. I don't think they're going to be a slouch team this year. I would think that would probably be a game the Jets would be favored in, but I don't think it's a
Yeah, for
blowout
sure.
either way. I think it would be a good kind of back and forth game. Two teams with what should be solid defenses, and it's so all down. I think it comes down to the young quarterback. How well he plays right away and what he would be able to do against a good defense and a defensive coach in Robert Saleh there. You have Blitz Crew chiming in, says he was annoyed when we lost Luvu. He never got enough time on the field with us, but he was great when he did get on the field. So there you go. Blitz Crew is in with you.
Yeah.
He's a Frankie Luvu guy, and it sounded like you were as well.
Yeah, I love Lulu, man. I finally got his autograph. I go to training camp to get autographs. It took me 2 years to get him. But shout out to Frankie Luvu, man. I think he's a really good player, and I want to keep him around, pay him whatever it takes. I don't know what his contract's going to look like as an interior linebacker. Won't be too crazy, but yeah, we got to keep him around. And I know when I was doing some research before we got him, I know he was like a special teams ace for you guys.
Yeah,
He fulfilled that role here too, initially, and then transitioned to a starting role, and he's been great, man. Love Frankie Luvu.
love it. Boogie Down Bronx is saying the Panthers may win the division. Is that your expectation for this team? What are you thinking?
Absolutely not. It's not my expectation. I think it's possible. I can see a scenario where we do win it. I don't think it's my expectation at all. I expect the Saints to pull it out. They have the most stable franchise at the moment, even with the quarterback change. In the South, it's a bunch of turnover. The Falcons aren't. I mean, they're gonna. I think the Falcons are gonna surprise a few folks with their defense. Their defense is improved. The offense is gonna be much better. And the Bucks, I think the Bucks will be at the bottom of the division. Even with they still have a lot of talent. It just all boils down to the quarterback. But the Saints are the most stable. Even when you bring in Derek Carr, I think that improves upon the quarterback situation they had last year, and I think they'll be much better. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think the Saints probably take the division with like 10 wins, something like that.
Yeah.
As from an outside perspective, I think the Panthers will be improved this year, but I think you're looking at probably somewhere around 7 wins. Do you think that's a fair expectation, or where are you at with that
Yeah,
far?
I'm probably around 8,
Okay.
9-8, something like that, or 8-9, somewhere in that range. But yeah, all I want to see is improvement, man. We've been so bad over the past 4 or 5 or 3, 4, no, 5, 6 years. Ever since Matt Rule got here, it's been just garbage. We hired a quarterback, a college coach, excuse me, and we brought in college players, and that's the results we got. So now that we have a true NFL caliber staff, which I think personally is probably a top 5 staff in the league, I think that's going to translate to the field, and I think we're going to be really good. It may not be year one, but I do think we're the team most set up for future success in the division. So maybe year 2, year 3, I think that's when you start to see the Panthers start to peak.
Absolutely. I'm in with you there. I really like what the Panthers are doing. Damon chimes in. He says, what do you think about AVT going to tackle? So that's Robert Saleh today in his press conference. He didn't say for certain that Elijah Vera Tucker was switching from guard to tackle, but what he did say was he would be open to that idea. Last year, he played 3 different positions on the offensive line for the Jets last year.
Yeah.
He started at right guard. Then they moved him to left tackle for a game in a pinch, and then he played right tackle. But me personally, I think his best position is guard. But if you're having issues with health at tackle, or you are signing another guard, I'm okay with moving him out to tackle. I know you said you were a big draft guy, but any thoughts on AVT?
I like Vera Tucker coming out of I think he went to USC, right?
USC. Yep.
Yeah, I liked him. I liked him a lot. I thought he was better fit at guard. And I haven't seen him over the past. I have not watched any like Jets tape to see how he's been doing, but I did see some position flexibility there. Even in his college film, I thought he could play all over the place. So I don't. I mean, I have really no real opinion on whether he can play guard or tackle successfully, but I liked him at guard coming out of college.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's his best position there. But as you said, in a pinch, can move outside and play if need be. Johnny wants to know how the DJ Moore departure. How bad did that hurt the wide receiver room?
Hey man, so it hurt initially. I'm not gonna lie. Initially, it hurt when we traded DJ to the Bears, and we picked up all the capital to go get Bryce. Bryce Young and how he performs is gonna lessen the blow. But I gotta be honest with you, and this is from a DJ Moore fan. I love DJ Moore. I thought he was. I felt terrible for him because he played with such terrible quarterbacks. He never got an opportunity to play with a really good quarterback over his tenure here, but always put up the numbers. He always put up 1,100 yards per year every year that he was here, except for his rookie year. So what? 3-4 consecutive years of 1,000-yard seasons with bums at quarterback. So now we were looking for him to get a newer quarterback here, but he had to go as part of the package. But I got to be honest, man, DJ Moore, who right now? Like DJ Chark, I'm telling you, if he can stay healthy, and we've seen it in Jacksonville, like he was really good in Jacksonville 2019, put up 1,000-yard season. And if DJ Chark is healthy, he is going to be a real problem in this offense. Give me Adam Thielen, give me now Mingo. Like I don't really miss DJ Moore like that, to be honest with you. I think it's a replaceable. He can be replaced. I think the production can be replaced. Wide receiver by committee. Terrace Marshall. I'm fine with where we are with DJ Moore as long as Bryce Young comes out there and balls out. DJ Moore, who?
Yeah, I mean, the Panthers obviously gave up a lot to go up and get their quarterback, but I don't fault them for that. I think,
No.
if you have a guy that you really want to go up and get, do whatever you have to do to go up and get him. Is that kind of the thought process from Panthers fans, or did you have people giving pushback on they gave up way too much? They shouldn't have gave up DJ Moore in order to go up and get the quarterback.
Hey, man, that was my philosophy. Do whatever it takes to get the quarterback. It's the most important position on the field. We've been playing around with it for so long. It's time to go ahead and get the quarterback. And I don't feel like I feel like it was a solid trade. I mean, we gave up our first round pick this year. Next year. And then we swapped picks, and then we gave up a couple of seconds, and we gave up DJ Moore. That's not a lot of capital to me. I feel like if Bryce Young is going to be that guy, and I think we're going to be, which I do firmly believe he is, I think it's worth it. And then you can look at what we can do from here on out with the amount of cap space we have. I think it was the perfect time to do it. Now you can pay Brian Burns, you can pay Derek Brown, you can pay all these guys that are coming up on these contracts. And it's time to go get it. And now I firmly believe within the next 3 or 4 years, you're going to start to see Panthers make the playoff push and start to make some noise. I'm not calling for Super Bowl, but I do think we can make that push to become a perennial playoff team within the next 2 or 3 years for sure.
There we go. Flamer wants to see a better running game from the Jets this week against the Panthers. So against Cleveland, now granted, there weren't many starters or regulars playing in that game, but the Jets were averaging like 3 yards a carry and really, we're not getting much of a push. Expectations, I guess, from you on the Panthers run defense this season.
Good luck. Good luck running against that front, man, and Brian Byrne. It's gonna be we have really athletic linebackers. I think that those front three guys I mentioned earlier, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough to run against that, man. It's gonna be a problem. We'll see though, because I have yet to see what it looks like in a game. So you guys could have some success. I don't know, but until I see it, I don't want to jump out the window and say we're gonna be a top 5 run defense because I just don't know that. I have to see with my own eyes. But we have the dogs. We got to see if they're gonna fight. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And like obviously Breece Hall coming back from injury, so they're not going to use him. But that's something else that I guess that I didn't mention earlier. The Jets running back room behind Breece Hall, there's a lot of competition. Still no, Dalvin Cook, who's been linked to the Jets, and I have no idea if he's going to end up signing or if he's going to go down to Miami. At this point, I kind of just want to see the running backs that are here. You have Michael Carter, who was drafted a couple years ago. Bam Knight was a UDFA last year that had a nice little role. And then they drafted Izzy Abanikanda this year out of Pittsburgh, who scored a touchdown in the game last week. He's explosive. I kind of want to see, those 3 guys and see if one of them establishes a role as RB2, because it's kind of it's open. It's not like one of their guys is locked in to be RB2 here.
Yeah, and I think it's best to have multiple running backs. Trust me, from a guy that had to watch Christian McCaffrey like get abused for like the past 4 years here in Carolina, man. You got to have multiple running backs. That's the way to get it done. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I like Breece Hall a lot. I think he's a baller. And Dalvin Cook added to that wouldn't be a bad idea, man. So that'd be a problem if y'all got him.
There we go. Gator, he's a regular in here. He says, are either of you pulling for Sam Darnold's success? What did Panthers fans think of him overall? I don't think his time in Carolina is remembered fondly, but you tell me if I'm wrong.
Hey, man, I don't care. Listen, this is how I feel about any player. Like, you could say Sam Darnold, you could say DJ Moore, you could say Christian McCaffrey. Bro, once you're not a Panther, once you don't have the black and blue on anymore, I don't care about you. I hope you lose every game. So I could care less about Sam Darnold's success or Christian McCaffrey's success. I'm cheering for the black and blue, and that's it. That's just me personally. Again, I think Sam, I like Sam. I think as a person, I like him. I thought he got put in a real tough position coming to Carolina. The coaching staff here was awful. They were not prepared to come and coach in the NFL. And I just think I do think going over there to San Francisco, I think he can be successful there. Like, I really do. If you could make Brock Purdy look good, I think you can make Sam Darnold look good. So I think he can be good over there. I really do. But hey, man, I don't care. You can lose all the games, bro. I really don't care about what Sam Darnold does from here on out.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat. Once the guys go, I mean, I had a soft spot for Sam. I felt bad. I thought he got a raw deal with the Jets as well. It was a little tough for him, but I think the guy that I missed more was Robbie. I was a huge or chosen now.
Oh, man.
I loved me some Robbie
Oh,
Anderson.
man, I forgot about Robbie. I forgot we got Robbie from you guys, man. Hey, listen, I love Robbie Anderson personally. I like him. A lot of Panthers fans were not fans of Robbie Anderson, man, but I liked him, and I'm glad he got to go back home to Miami. But yeah, that's another one that was I think when Cam Newton got here, came back last year, I think he was more apt to play, but he did. I don't think he did not want to see Sam Darnold walk back through that door, man. You could tell. They had a little spat on the sideline one game. It's documented, but yeah, it wasn't.
Well, he's been dealing with them since 2018. He's with the Jets, goes away for 1 year, and then the next year Sam gets traded to him, and unfortunately, it doesn't go very well for him. So who knows? Maybe he rebounds in Miami. But I was a little bit of a Robbie fan during his time with the New York Jets here. I guess last one for me is just in this game in particular, give the Jets, a casual Jet fan who maybe doesn't really follow the Panthers that closely. Who are, two or three guys that they should be keeping a close eye on in this game from Carolina?
Yeah, I think because Miles Sanders is not going to play, I think Chuba Hubbard he's our RB2. I think he's a really really good running back. He's developing, getting better. Only thing he has bricks for hands, so we got to work on his. We got to work on his hands. He's getting better, getting on the jugs machine. But Chuba Hubbard, really good player, really good running back. I think he's going to have some success tomorrow. Defensively, I want to see Jamie Robinson. I'm trying to give you like the lesser known guys,
Sure.
just because some of our starters may or may not play. But Jamie Robinson, we just drafted him in the 5th round last year from Florida State. Really good safety, kind of a hybrid guy, can play in the box. I think he's somebody to keep an eye on. Let me see who else. We got Kamu Grugier Hill, who's
Ooh.
been having a really, really good camp. He's a former Super Bowl champion with the Eagles. Spent some time with the Texans. He's had a really good camp. He's an interior linebacker, really good player. I think he definitely earned his spot. He was not on my radar at all, but I think he's going to play in the place of Frankie Luvu. Kind of keep an eye on him. Let me see who else I can give you. Kobe Jones. Kobe Jones is an edge rusher, defensive end. He's had a really, really good camp for the Carolina Panthers, kind of fighting for a spot as well in that edge rusher rotation. Keep an eye on. He's a guy to keep an eye on as well. Offensively, let me see if I can give you another offensive guy to watch. I'll give you a skill position. I think Derek Wright, number 83, a slot, kind of a slot shifty guy, Wes Welker type guy. I really think he's fighting for a roster spot. He's a guy to keep an eye on. Our tight end group, I think Stephon Sullivan, out of LSU, he was on the Joe Burrow squad, the national champion. He was a tight end there, athletic, mismatch. He had a really good day yesterday against you guys. He's a guy to keep an eye on as well. I keep an eye on him, but that's really it, man. I think this is a bunch of guys kind of fighting for spots. That's about it. It's about the bulk I can give you, and maybe Matt Corral. You want to keep an eye on Matt Corral?
Okay.
He's
Yeah.
fighting to keep his roster spot.
There you go. So from Jets, I give you from the Jets perspective, some guys that Jet fans are excited to see. You mentioned Matt Corral, a young quarterback. The Jets will run out Zach Wilson, and I think they're kind of just curious to see if he's taken any sort of step forward. He looked okay against Cleveland. He only threw like 5 passes, so hoping to see maybe closer to a half from him. Right now, the Jets are only carrying 3 quarterbacks, and Rodgers isn't going to play. So the assumption is that Zach will get the first half, and then Tim Boyle will play in the second half of this game. Looking at the offensive line, Joe Tippmann and Mekhi Becton, Jet fans are going to want to take a close eye on with those 2 guys, seeing how much Tippmann's developed. From a skill position group, undrafted free agent Jason Brownlee's been a huge surprise in training camp. He's had a little bit of a connection with Aaron Rodgers, so I'd say keep a close eye on him and see if he makes some plays in this game, as I'm sure he'll get a long look. And then defensively, Michael Clemens has been someone on the defensive line that's kind of turned into a fan favorite. He'll be a part of the rotation on the defensive line. He's bigger. He could kind of play on the edge, like a big edge or a smaller interior guy. Jamie and Sherwood and Chaz Surratt at linebacker, kind of fighting for that linebacker 3 role. Salah talks them up every single chance he gets. You would think they're all pro players, but they're fighting for roster spots. So those are a couple guys to keep an eye on the defensive side of the ball. But yeah, it should be a fun matchup on Saturday, getting a closer look at these 2 teams.
Yeah, it is, man, and really don't care about the win or loss, man. I'm just looking for my guys. I'm looking for Bryce to go out there, be confident, comfortable, make some plays. Don't go too crazy out there, but it's gonna be interesting to watch, man. I'm gonna be live streaming it, and it should be a good little matchup, especially with some of these guys fighting for roster spot. Oh, last person I want to keep an eye on. My apologies, I forgot. DJ Johnson, who we drafted in the 4th round this past year, edge rusher out of Oregon. A little bit of an older guy. He's developing. Panthers fans are going to want to keep their eyes on him because some folks were a little disappointed that we used that 4th round pick on him. So he had a decent camp and looking to develop practice after practice, and we'll hope to see him be a starter in the years to come. But we're looking to see him develop for sure.
Cool. Rashad, where can people find your stuff if they want to follow along with the Panthers this year?
Yeah, man. So you can follow us on what we call it, X, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Panther Nation PC. Google us on YouTube or search us on YouTube, Panther Nation Podcast or PNP. Check us out. We do a lot of draft content. My co-host does a lot of fantasy stuff. So yeah, man, check us out, man. Hit that sub button for your boy. I think we like 20 some folks away from 21,000 subscribers. So please do me a favor, go over there and sub up to your boy.
Absolutely. Make sure to go check out his work covering the Panthers. For Rashad, I am Matt O'Leary, and we'll catch you next time.